In December 2021, shares of Southwest Airlines hit an all-time high. For 47 consecutive years, they dominated the industry. They turned a profit every single year, a feat no other airline in history had ever achieved. They ruled the skies and had the best profit margins in the industry. But today, the stock has plummeted over 50% and the CEO has been fired multiple times. Southwest cancelled over 17,000 flights, stranded 2 million passengers, and destroyed its reputation in a meltdown that cost them over $1 billion. Facing serious legal trouble with the government, a fatal flaw hiding in their outdated technology, and a management team that prioritized short-term financials, Southwest never stood a chance. Here's the story of how the airline that revolutionized aviation lost its way. The company started back in the 1960s when conditions were perfect for revolution. The Sun Belt was exploding. Texas alone grew by 17% in the 1960s, and cities like Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio were becoming major economic centers. But there was a catch. Flying back then was a regulatory nightmare. A government board dictated every schedule and every price, turning air travel into a luxury reserved strictly for the elite. To put it in perspective, a basic ticket from New York to Chicago could cost you the equivalent of $4,000 in today's money. Seeing this massive inefficiency, businessman Roland King and lawyer Herb Kelleher sat down in a San Antonio bar in 1966 and sketched out a radical idea. Their pitch was brilliantly simple. They would fly solely inside the state of Texas. By never crossing state lines, they could bypass federal regulations entirely and charge whatever they wanted. You see, they built their entire model around a revolutionary new plane, the Boeing 737. While their rivals were obsessed with massive 747s that required big city pairs to stay profitable, the 737 was cheaper to buy, operate, and maintain. The company officially launched on June 18, 1971. They didn't just compete on price, they competed on personality. The fares were a shock to the system. A flight from Dallas to San Antonio cost just $20, while rivals were charging $80. Kelleher realized early on that his real competition wasn't just other airlines, it was the automobile. He had a mission, convincing people to stop driving and start flying. Braniff, the corporate giant, tried to crush them. They dropped their fares on the Dallas-Houston route to a predatory $19, sparking a brutal price war intended to bleed Southwest dry. So, what did Southwest do? They didn't just match the fare, they got creative. They offered customers a choice: pay the $13 fare or pay $26 and receive a free bottle of Crown Royal or Chivas Regal. For months, Southwest became the largest distributor of premium liquor in the entire state of Texas. But this cost them a lot of money, so they came up with another plan. They had to figure out how to get planes back in the sky faster than anyone else. While traditional airlines took 45 minutes to turn a plane around, Southwest pioneered the 10-minute turn. This efficiency allowed them to fly 12 flights a day per plane, double the 6 flights their competitors managed. They standardized their entire fleet on 737s, meaning every pilot could fly every plane and mechanics only needed one set of parts. It was simple, cheap, and brilliant. In 1978, Southwest got lucky. Congress passed the Airline Deregulation Act, which let airlines set their own prices and choose their own routes instead of following strict government rules. Big airlines were stuck with expensive union contracts and complex fleets, but Southwest was small and ready to grow. By 1982, they flew to Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Kansas City, serving cities the big airlines ignored. People called them the Greyhound bus of the sky. By 1997, 25 years after starting, Southwest made a $2.8 billion profit and had been profitable every year. It seemed they couldn't lose. By the 2000s, the airline industry was changing fast. Big airlines realized they had to adapt or fail. Delta merged with Northwest and United with Continental, creating strong fortress hubs. They also used bankruptcy to get rid of costly union contracts, cutting into Southwest's cost advantage. Then came the unbundling trend. In 2008, American Airlines started charging $15 for checked bags, and soon every airline followed, making billions. Southwest refused, launching its Bags Fly Free campaign and winning customer loyalty. But Southwest was getting squeezed. Big airlines were spending billions on premium services and technology, while new ultra-low-cost carriers like Spirit and Frontier cut costs to the extreme, offering $50 tickets by charging for everything. Southwest ended up in the messy middle, not earning as much per seat as Delta, but also not as cheap as Spirit. The real turning point came in 2004 when Gary Kelly took over as CEO. Unlike Herb Kelleher, he was the man of the people. Kelly was a finance guy. Under his leadership, the focus shifted from operational excellence to financial engineering. While Delta and United modernized their back-end technology, Southwest stood still. They kept running a massive nationwide network on systems from the 1990s. Pilots were still receiving weather reports on paper. The crew scheduling system required manual phone calls to track employees. In the summer of 2022, pilots picketed not for higher pay, but for better IT systems, warning that the airline was outdated. But management was busy cutting costs. The cracks began to show in 2019 with the 737 MAX crisis. When the planes were grounded, Southwest struggled to adjust its schedule, losing $75 million in a single month. Its cancellation rate, which had been 0.8% in 2012, rose to 2.8% a decade later. Success had made the airline complacent. The collapse came in December 2022. When massive winter storms hit Denver and Chicago, Southwest's two biggest hubs, planes couldn't move. Unlike other airlines using a hub and spoke model, Southwest's point-to-point system scattered crews across the country, and its scheduling software couldn't track them. The software broke. It didn't know where pilots or flight attendants were. While Delta could reroute crews with a click, Southwest had to call each employee. Staff scrambled, but flights couldn't be saved. The result was chaos. Southwest cancelled 5,500 flights in 2 days and kept cancelling for 10 more. In total, 17,000 flights were scrapped and mountains of luggage piled up with no way to return it to passengers. The Department of Transportation was furious, slapping them with a $140 million fine. The meltdown cost the airline $1.2 billion in lost revenue and compensation. CEO Bob Jordan admitted, "We messed up." The reliability those legacy carriers had been marketing against Southwest was now an undeniable fact. In June 2024, Elliott Investment Management, a $70 billion activist fund, bought a $1.9 billion stake, about 11% of Southwest, and they didn't come to make friends. Elliott released a harsh presentation called Stronger Southwest, arguing that management had failed. While Southwest stock had dropped 50%, competitors were thriving. Between 2018 and 2024, annual profits fell from $2.5 billion to $480 million, and operating margins were now lower than the legacy carriers they once mocked. Elliott argued that Southwest sat on a goldmine of airport gates but wasn't monetizing them. They demanded a board reshuffle and the CEO's removal, pushing the airline to adopt fees, assigned seating, and other standard industry practices. Southwest tried a poison pill to block the takeover, but the pressure was too strong. In October 2024, Gary Kelly stepped down as chairman. Elliott had won. And that's when the surrender began. To please Wall Street, Southwest started dismantling what made it special. In July 2024, the airline ended open seating, claiming 80% of customers preferred assigned seats. The equal access cattle call was replaced with premium cabins and extra fees. Then came the layoffs. In February 2025, for the first time in its 50-year history, Southwest let go over 1,750 employees. But the final blow came on May 28, 2025, when Southwest announced it would start charging for checked bags. The airline that had long promoted Bags Fly Free now expected up to $1 billion a year from bag fees and even introduced a basic economy class, giving the cheapest tickets the worst experience. In January 2026, Southwest is a profitable but heartbroken company. Revenue has grown to $26.4 billion, but profits remained thin at $465 million, a shadow of the $4 billion they made in 2018. Elliott and the shareholders are happy. They expect these changes to add $1.5 billion in profit by 2027. But if you look at the employee forums, the people are heartbroken. They know that Southwest has become the very thing it was created to destroy. An incumbent airline with complex fees, unhappy staff, and a focus on extracting every cent from the passenger. Could Southwest ever regain its magic, or is the Greyhound of the sky gone forever? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more deep dives into the economics of businesses, make sure to subscribe. It really helps the channel grow.